So look, it's here, season 7 of Bosch, and I get into this thing and I'm completely astounded that as upstanding as we've known detectives Bosch, Harry Bosch, and J. Edgar to be, that these two men are riding around the streets of Los Angeles without their seatbelts. What the hell is going on here? All kind of things are happening in season 7, the final one for Amazon Prime Video's Bosch. Let's get into all of it. Well, we'll just cover the first episode and we'll get to everything else in due time. Hey, peace world. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. My name is Wood. Super excited about this topic. We have not a week, last Friday, season 7, the final season of Amazon Prime Video's series Bosch was available to be streamed, and maybe you watched the entire thing already. Me and my wife, kind of my TV viewing partner, obviously my partner. This is one series that has kind of been our thing the past several years. So we made a decision we don't have a viewing schedule for it, but we made a decision to not sit and watch all of it at one time. Although I'll be honest, at this point, I'm very anxious to get to episode 2. Which is named The Dog You Feed. So right now, I'm just going to go through a couple of things with what I noticed, my talking points for episode 1, which was entitled Brazen, which is a 4-month jump from where we left off with the crew of, the Bosch team. So really, I mentioned this last year in some updates. I don't know if this is a plus or a negative or something neutral, but one thing about it, it's almost like the entire cast and the whole creative team, the directors, writers, it's almost like everybody can fall out of bed and do their jobs in exemplary fashion. I mean, this is just a very well-oiled machine at this point. And so you either are aware of the Bosch universe and you're a fan of this, or maybe you're not aware of the show. But I don't have any real negatives about the show. I just don't. I really don't. So that's kind of no major highlights in a way for the first episode. It just gets us up to speed with where we are. It introduces a new target, the new investigation. We tap in with where all the different characters are in their personal lives. They've done a magnificent job of weaving that into the series along the way, for a variety of different characters. And then we get, like I said, we get our new target, we get our new investigation, and we kind of get the latest and greatest on a couple of key situations. So let's jump into what I'm calling the catch-up. Let's run them down in no particular order, but so Chief Irving, played by Lance Reddick, him and his wife, his new bride, they've had their child. Looks like there's some kind of complications, and the baby hasn't come home yet. And Irving is also feeling uncomfortable about his alliance with the new mayor, and that's creating some stress in his life, while at the same time, hoping that, he lost his oldest son, or his only son, in season 2, season 3. So this is that great side of this aspect of the show where, like I said, they show these personal lives of these characters who work these very pressure packed jobs. So we'll see what happens with the chief. J. Edgar, he's working through his decision that he made to take care of Jacques Avril in last season, where he went rogue. You know, he made some choices, probably influenced by Bosch to a degree, and this was a matter that was near and dear to him because his mother's brother, I believe, was killed by Avril back in Haiti, I believe. I don't think it's Jamaica. I apologize if I got that detail wrong. But, you know, he killed this man. Whether it was in cold blood, whether it was justified, whether it was taking the law into his own hand, whether, you know, we could debate that. But he was compelled to do things his way, and it ended up in the death of, you know, this guy, this criminal, this career criminal. But now he's getting some heat from Bosch. I love the confrontation between the two. This has affected Edgar's performance the last 4 months, and Bosch calls him a mope. If you remember, he was also called a mope, I believe, at some point when he was Marlo Stanfield back on The Wire. And mope probably has a couple different connotations there, but also in the beginning, in the introduction or the opening sequences of this episode, when different New Year's Eve parties are going on, you know, J. Edgar is at home, partially working through where he might be with this morally, and then also he has this hearing that's hanging over his head, that's looming, you know, over there. Is he going to be fired? Is he going to be prosecuted? So he's at home drinking by himself. We'll get back to that in just a second. Then he's also, I thought it was great, you know, to see they showed his wife and the kids call. Jerry didn't attend the parties from LT, where all the other police officers were, the law enforcement people. And then he didn't go see his boys and his ex-wife. But I thought it was good. It was good, you know, that it seems that him and his ex-wife are on the same page. Maybe they try to give it another go. I don't know. And then also we check in with Bosch himself, who of course he didn't go to the party with everybody else. But it was crazy that he was actually out with the judge. I guess that's why they showed the judge in the recap sequence at the beginning of the episode. I guess that's why they showed the conversation where she says something about, if this isn't good to go, I'll throw this out of my courtroom like Jack Robinson, or before you can say Jack Robinson. And then we see him and her out in, I mean, that's beyond fraternization, right? So I wonder what's to come of that. And then also here, another note that I made is I'll get to that in just a second. I'll come back to that. And then Maddie, you know, we check in with Maddie. She got invited to Honey Chandler's, you know, upscale New Year's Eve party. We find out somebody else in the office didn't, an Asian kid didn't. We see that Maddie is a full-grown woman now who is, you know, staying out, slept over at her boyfriend Antonio's house and whatnot. We saw a flash of Pierce, Detective Pierce, at the arson scene. Who else was in there? And we saw what was up with Lieutenant Billets and her girlfriend or wife. I can't remember if they got married or not. So we, like I said, we see all of these recaps of where everybody is at the moment. So let's jump into the new case. Some Mercedes SUV pulls up to this this apartment complex. They throw a Molotov cocktail through this window, and 4 people end up dead, one of them pregnant, and a little girl less than, pre-teenager. She perishes in the fire. So this arson situation is where Bosch is pulled away, where he was in the middle of being invited in by the judge, to close out the night, with some with some romance. We haven't seen a whole lot of that on the show. I love that they don't use sex as a way to make different things happen in this series. I love that the storytelling has really been somewhat sophisticated, in my opinion, and consistent. So this is the case, which leads to this potential target being this drug organization that's headed up by this lady named Gladys Rodriguez. If you've seen the trailer and whatnot, the thing was we see these mentions or Easter eggs or whatever of The Wire, which Jamie Hector, who plays J. Edgar, was Marlo Stanfield on there for like the last 2 or 3 seasons, 2.5 seasons or whatever. And Gladys Rodriguez is kind of this female Stringer Bell character, as described by this other detective that Bosch and J. Edgar have a meeting with to get up to speed on this. Is it Los Palmas 13 or something is the name of the group? So, that's who the target will be, most likely. Is this Gladys Rodriguez? Why is she... what's going on in this neighborhood? Is she intimidating these tenants? Is she overseeing the drug trafficking, the drug trade there? How much power does she have? And then apparently we did see her on screen as one of the observers when the fire was being put out. She made the eye contact with someone, with another figure, might be some of her muscle or the gang leader. We'll see. So that's kind of the new case, the major case. Another great thing about the show is that they've often had multiple cases going on at one time, and sometimes they even spanned more than one season. So they've done a great job of just having this continuity. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of the show. Lastly, then we just have Honey. We have the Honey Chandler situation. She's picked up a new case. Obviously, her nickname is Money. She's representing some guy who was embezzled a bunch of people or was running this Ponzi scheme, basically. Which is good, good for, that's billable hours right there. It's a high profile case, and Maddie will get to see, something else as she has made her decision to become a prosecutor instead of staying over in the private side, representing, criminals and so on and so forth. So, that's kind of where we are in this episode. Couple of closing notes to consider. 2 things. Where some of these people go next. So the big news out there is that Amazon has a deal or this offshoot called with IMDb TV. That is where the offspin of Bosch is going to go in season, after season 7 concludes. The show is supposed to start filming later this year, and it will include Titus Welliver, Mimi Rogers, who plays Honey Chandler, and then Maddie Lentz, I believe, is his daughter. Those 3 will be moving on to this spinoff show, and Bosch, you can see right now, is already laying the groundwork and he's always kind of bucked authority throughout this show. But something happens this season. If you've already watched it, then you know what it is. But he's starting to lose faith in the process and the institution, law enforcement, city hall, the politics. He's had his run-ins with Chief Irvin. And I guess all of that comes to a head at the conclusion of this season. And he actually is going to move on and become a private investigator for Honey Chandler's law firm. So that's what it doesn't have a title yet. But Bosch will be living on. Harry Bosch will be living on after this. The other big update, I've been a huge fan of the J. Edgar arc. The actor, Jamie Hector, is going to stay on the law enforcement side as he moves back to HBO in an upcoming show called, a limited series called We Own the City, which will also star John Bernthal. And I guess back in the day, this is created by the same The Wire guys, David Simon and a couple other guys are back involved putting this together. David Simon was the co-creator of The Wire. So We Own the City is back in Baltimore. And Hector is going to play this officer, this detective who his past comes back to haunt him. There was something called a gun trace task force in Baltimore that basically started hunting criminals and drug dealers in the city to rob them. And that's what this is going to deal with. These detectives who, started living off of taking money off of the dope dealers and whatnot in Baltimore is the gist of it, from what I understand. And there's a third officer. He was in SWAT, the movie SWAT. I can't remember his name. My apologies for that. But yeah, We Own the City. I think it's going to be 6 or 7 episodes. So I'm looking forward to it. And that's kind of the update for episode 1, season 7, the final season of Bosch. Let me know any of your thoughts. I mean, please don't give me any spoilers. I'm just, like I said, my wife was like, hey, it's going away. This is our favorite show. Probably definitely in our top 3. Maybe top 2. But so it's leaving, and I don't know if I can really replace it with anything, although this We Own the City, will be a welcomed arrival. But that's it. Again, pay me no mind, sports and entertainment. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Peace.